Hello, I'm Jenny McMinn, partner in charge of impact and innovation for Windmill Development. Windmill is partnering with the City of Guelph to lead the redevelopment of a downtown vacant parking lot into a mixed-use community called the Baker District. The Baker District seeks to become a model sustainable community where residents and visitors are empowered to lead happy and healthy lives. Unique to this project is a focus on making the Baker District a community that promotes and celebrates local and sustainable food. As you may know, Guelph has an existing thriving food community. We are so excited that the Baker District has the potential to further strengthen and support these local experts. Through this food series, we intend to shine a spotlight on the leaders within the Guelph food community who are already helping to create a more sustainable, accessible, and resilient food system. Together, we will explore what it takes to build a better food future. Thanks so much for joining us today. So Gavin, thanks so much for joining us today. And maybe we can start off by just talking a little bit more about what the seed is and specifically what your role is within the seed.
A lot of people don't know, but there are about 20,000 plus people in Guelph and Wellington County who are being defined as food insecure according to various government measures, anywhere from severely food insecure to moderately food insecure. And that is a huge number for a community like Guelph and Wellington. And it's the seed's goal and the goal of our partner agencies, because we're not working alone on this issue by any means, to change that and to make sure that eventually everyone in Guelph and Wellington County has enough food. It's a simple goal, but it's a really challenging goal because food insecurity is systemic. It exists everywhere in Canada, and it has for a very long time. But we think that Guelph and Wellington can be one of the first communities to eliminate food insecurity and to make it so that everyone has enough good food to eat.
I wonder too, just for the audience, to make sure everybody's on the same page, maybe you could explain in a little bit more detail what food insecure or food insecurity means.
Basically, food insecurity is just not having enough good food. It's simple as that. And it's usually almost always connected to lack of income, because we find that when people have enough income, then they have enough good food because they have the means to buy what they need and to make choices that suit their needs. When people don't have enough income, they don't have the means to do that, and they don't have those choices, and they often have to instead make really difficult and unhealthy choices simply because of lack of income. So when I say food insecurity, just think of someone looking into their fridge or their cupboard and just there's not much there that's really going to feed them well, and they worry every month and every week about how they're going to get enough food. And they a lot of food insecure people use food banks, and they rely on other food agencies to help them to meet their food needs. On the one hand, food banks are great because they are helpful to people, but they're really band-aid solutions. So the question is, how can we create a community or recreate a community and a food system that doesn't require food banks? And I think everyone's interested in answering that question, because no one wants food banks to be the solution, but we all agree that they're necessary right now.
Sure, and that's actually a great segue maybe into some of the programs or initiatives that the seed has underway, and maybe you could talk a little bit to what you're working on now to address food insecurity in Guelph.
Well, we're working on a number of things, and a bit too long to list here, but at a high level, I would say that we are performing in some ways the service of a food bank. So that's a big part of our work. We are part of the Band-Aid, but we also try to do work that's part of the longer term solution. We try to explore ideas and projects and partnerships that could lead towards a solution that where we don't need food banks anymore. We're trying to develop systemic solutions that can be really positive for our community and lead to get us to the point where Guelph and Wellington don't have any food insecurity. We don't, everyone has enough to eat. A not-for-profit like the Seed and the Guelph Community Health Center can do really, really effective work using business principles and use those business principles to achieve our health and social goals. And so I find that work really exciting. And I think the community finds it exciting too, because every time the Seed launches another social enterprise, we get huge response, positive response from the community, because they can see why that kind of solution makes sense.
And I imagine many are looking for ways of connecting in a real way to help solve some of our social issues like food insecurity. And so it's a neat, it's a great overlap of entities, I think, and it's exciting to see that you're taking some leadership in that space. How have you seen, or how can Guelph residents interact with either the social enterprises that you have set up, or even in support of food banks? Any suggestions for how residents in Guelph could step up and help in addressing food insecurity?
Yeah, that's the best question of all, really, because everyone wants to help and they want an idea of the best way to help. When people who have reasonable income and enough money to buy their own food, in other words, not low income people, but when people of middle or higher income purchase food from us through one of our social enterprises, they're driving the whole system of change. They're driving the programs and activities that the Seed is doing to address food insecurity and to try to present long-term solutions. So that's a really exciting way to shop, right? If we could all shop knowing that our dollars, whether it's for food or clothes or a car or whatever, are ultimately not only going towards the thing that we want to buy, but they're also having this secondary benefit, then I think a lot of us really respond to that. Another way is to be a volunteer. We have a lot of volunteers, especially for our programs that get food directly to food insecure community members. We also have a lot of donors. We have people who give us money. We have people who give us businesses that give us equipment. So, and in a community like Guelph and Wellington, it's just amazing the amount of support and the amount of understanding and excitement that exists when we put forward ideas like this and get things started.
Maybe we can take a step back and think about if you can, and then there are certainly lots of options for you to do this, but building from the ground up, how can a new community or a revitalized community best support food education and mitigate or improve food security? Any ideas on what elements need to be in place in a community to set up for long-term success?
Yeah, I would say broadly speaking that what needs to be in place is constant connection with food. And we can't have a really, really successful economy and a really successful society and a really healthy society if we don't take local food seriously and we don't make sure that it's part of our plan and part of our business plan and part of our social plan. So I guess my answer would be, yeah, the more people are connected with food, visibly as they walk down the street, the more they have opportunity to buy that food, the more they have opportunity to learn about food in schools, like all those things add up to this rich food culture and food knowledge, which translates into healthier societies, healthier people, healthier, more profitable communities. And so there's really nothing lost and everything to be gained when you get into urban agriculture. It's not just a scam. It's not just oh, that's really great, we'll pour a bunch of money into this really inefficient thing. It's actually an opportunity to build these multi-layered cultural, social, and economic platforms to really enrich a community.
I guess maybe my closing question, Gavin, and just building off of your last answer would be, I think you spoke about kind of macro food production and the value of localizing, even if it isn't numerically the most efficient, but there's so many other inherent benefits. Any specific thoughts on how that could apply to an urban agriculture or an urban site like the Baker District? What's appropriate? What can have the most benefit to a downtown community? Any thoughts on the role that food could play?
I think that for every nook and cranny in a city and in a development like Baker Street, there are opportunities. There could be opportunities related to food growing and food, and it's about really about having a logical, like structured assessment process of what the opportunity for every nook and cranny might be. It's about assessing the potential of each space. And sometimes the potential is really highly social, like in the example of the park. And sometimes the potential is really highly economic. And sometimes it's a blend of the two. And it's about making a business plan or a project plan to really think about what is the potential value of a space when it comes to food. And sometimes you look at it and conclude there is no potential value. And that's okay. We don't have to have food grown everywhere in the city. But the point I'm trying to make is that there's so many easy opportunities, so much low-hanging fruit, pardon the pun, that is just there to be harvested. And we just have to open up our eyes to see the potential of certain spaces that are right now just being completely wasted.
Well, Gavin, I can't thank you enough for your taking the time to share your experience and your thoughts. And
my pleasure.
I hope that this conversation inspires some others to investigate all those nooks and crannies, as you just mentioned, and better connect us culturally, socially, environmentally through food. I think there's a great opportunity for us. So thanks so much for your time, Gavin. And we'll wrap up here.